Yes. Woo. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Can you hear me clear?
Yeah.
Everybody can hear me? Let me see. I am looking for let me see, Miss Patrice. Can you see yourself?
Not on the screen with you and
Yeah,
Herm, no.
Big Herm. Can you?
Yeah, I can hear her. She's not on the screen with us.
Okay. All right, cool. So look, we're gonna do this real smooth. Yeah, let's back on out, Miss Patrice, and then come back in, okay?
Mm.
Okay.
So look, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Lion's Den. Oh my goodness, man. How you feeling, bro? How's your weekend?
Man, oh shoot. Feel like a lot of driving, man, but everything is good.
Where
You
you
know,
been?
I went to Indianapolis to go watch my nephew playing this game.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
How was it?
he did pretty good, you know. It was a pretty good drive.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
man. And it just felt like constant driving, man, because just not too long before that I went to go see my dad in Florida.
Correct. How's he doing?
He's doing okay, man.
That's good.
Day by day.
That's good. Miss Patrice, how are you, ma'am? Welcome back in. How are you?
Hello.
How was your weekend?
Fantastic weekend. No complaints. No
Okay.
complaints.
Okay, what you get yourself into?
It's all a blur.
Okay. Hey, well, look, sometimes that's a good thing. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
Yes. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, it's the holidays is upon us again. It seems like this year is flying by. Am I lying? What y'all think about that?
No, I really did, man. Especially when I look back at all the goals I was supposed to get done this year, and really didn't knock many of them out, except for one important one. One
Hold on,
important one. I'm
hold on,
knocking that out.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
Okay, is it a real goal or is it something you
Yes.
just? All right, what is
No.
it, bro?
My school goals. You know what I mean? I've been sticking to it. You know what I mean? And knocking these classes out. Something I really never thought that I would be able to stay focused on and do.
Okay,
You know what I
good.
mean? And I'm almost done with this degree, man. And
Okay, good. So you gotta stay encouraged, homie.
man, you know, yeah, for real. Because a lot of times when they get to have me writing all these papers, I'm like, man, I'm done with this.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Hey, well, look, Miss Patrice, what can how can you encourage this young lad in staying in school and staying motivated and getting it in for the rest of the year?
You still got time. You still got time. Just take one day at a time and keep moving forward. And, once you stop learning, you stop living. So just keep learning and keep
That's
living.
true.
You ain't never
That's
Hmm.
lying.
true.
You ain't never
Yeah.
lying. But
You're
hey,
a
well, look,
professional student.
yeah, professional student. Listen, hey, look, I bet somebody, if not the rest of the world, getting their degrees straight from TikTok. You know what I'm saying?
Man, for
TikTok and
real.
social media. But along with the year, we got the holidays coming up, and what that means. Eating good and seeing the family. So y'all, we're talking about family dynamics and how we can help prepare y'all for the holidays. So this is the Lion's Den, okay? What we focus on is everything leadership and growth and development with a call to action from the household to out in the community. All right. Now, before we go all outside the house, let's focus on inside the house. And we're talking about the family dynamics, specifically with step parents.
Mm.
Herm.
Yeah.
So this was heavy on your heart a few weeks ago, man. Why do you think this is important for us to really lay into this week?
Um, I believe the conversation, we've had a conversation like this before, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I really wanted to get into a conversation where, a lot of the step parents, is the step parents' love for the kids conditional? You know what I mean? They always talk about, hey, I treat them like I'm going to treat my kid. Is that really true? I mean, I wanted to talk to some people and see, have they seen it? They have examples of that, or that's just a whole bunch of lip service, because a lot of times when folks get divorced, they really divorce the kids as well. You know what I mean? And if it's an unconditional love, like you say, and you treat them like I treat my kid, how can you divorce the kid?
Okay, yeah, I can see that. What say you, Miss Patrice?
Well, I would say that's difficult. That's very difficult. Especially when you're talking about children and their feelings and their emotions. But I think children are resilient and they can handle a lot more than what we think that they can. But the issue of step parents is just that's a big issue with not a lot of conversation revolving around it. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation. I would say, unfortunately, that does happen when the dynamics of the relationship changes. Sometimes the child does get left behind, which is unfortunate. I just think it's just hard to navigate around that. I've never been a step parent, so I can't speak from that perspective, but I have incorporated someone into my family that as a step parent. So I have been able to see how that kind of fluctuates and it goes up and down and it has its good days and its bad days. So unfortunately, when the relationship changes, the child is a part of that.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, we're going to touch into that in a minute, but let's stick with these children real quick. Okay. So here I go. I have a child. All right. From a previous relationship. Now I'm moving into a new relationship along with my child. So that means being with me, you're with her or whatever the case it is, or with him. So my expectations in my head would be that the family blend would be easy, should be easy, right? Because why wouldn't it? You love me, you should love my baby, all right? And it shouldn't be that much of a difference. So you will love my child like your own. Is that the case all the time? Right? Is that the case all the time? And so what conversations aren't being had and need to be had before the family is fully blended? What you say, Herm? What you think?
Well, I think a honest conversation about what's expected between the role you're going to play in this child's life. Because what if the child already has an active parent, right?
That's right.
And now, since I came into the mix, child already got a dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So what role am I about to play for your child? And me and you got to have this conversation like, hey, I might not be this child's kid, but there will be respect both ways. You know what I mean? As far as how we to move forward, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And everything is good when it's good. You know what I mean? But as soon as things get bad, a lot of times the mother feels like, okay, now I got to take a side and something, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not, you know what I mean? And a lot of times she's going to take the child side. Well, that's not necessarily true neither.
That
You know
ain't
what I mean?
ever.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
So it's like, I know in my case, I'm not a step parent, but in my case, I'm speaking as far as a man and a woman dynamic, right?
Mm-hmm.
That the mother is going to have to take a side and how that's going to move forward, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it gets tricky because we're still all people. We could say that, hey, this is how we're going to handle the situation. You're going to respect him and stuff like that. But you're going to hear, you ain't my dad. You know what I mean? And if it's especially if it's another boy or something like that and get tried, you can have all the conversation you want. But once that fire hits, that's when you're really going to find out how it's going to work.
Yeah. And so I can see that. And so, I would just assume, all right. So for example, I was in a position where I was a stepfather, right? I was stepfather to, a child that wasn't mine. And so it was important since I was there through the beginning. It was important for that child to know the difference. Okay. To know the difference. So let me ask y'all, what do y'all think? All right, Miss Patrice, what do you think about how important it is for, let's say, your child or your child back then, how important it was for him or her to know the difference between, hey, this is a person that is in my life, right? That's a part of my life, and now essentially will be a part of yours. But this over here is your father, and that is a difference. How would you construct that conversation?
Well, I've actually been through this before. I have a son, he's 20, and at the time when um, his stepdad came into the picture, he was about 7 or 8 years old. So I wanted to make sure that it was important that he knew it was okay to have a relationship with another man and it not be his father. That it could be a relationship based on guidance, based on leadership, based on, just showing him the things that he needed to be shown that his father wasn't able to show him because he wasn't within the household. I'm just wanted to make sure that he knew that it was okay to have feelings for both people, his dad and his stepdad, without feeling like he had to love his biological father less.
Mm.
And or he felt like he had to love his stepdad more because we were together. I just wanted him to understand more in a positive way, like, hey, you got two dads, you have, someone a man on each side to help guide you and show you, the things that you need to be shown. So I tried to take more of a, try to be comfortable with the situation. We're going to move at your pace. We're going to do what makes you feel more comfortable. I think it makes a difference in the age of the child. The younger the child is, I think it's easier for them to build a relationship and, not necessarily see see, I guess, the negative aspects of it, but more focus on the positive. As they get older, they're kind of like set in their ways a little bit. They may have already had a relationship established with their biological parents, so it may be harder for them to build a relationship. I know it would be difficult for any child who especially had a relationship with their parent to try to include another parent in there. I could really see how that's a balancing act that maybe the child may not be ready for.
Mm.
So question though, like, all right, in those kind of scenarios, do we feel like it's owed to the other parent to have that conversation, like, hey, this is what's about to happen? What are you comfortable with? What are you not comfortable with? Do we owe that? Do you feel like you owe that other parent a conversation about how we are moving forward with the child and the new person that we're bringing in?
Well, I think that it's uncharted territory, I would think, unless this is something that you have been in before. If this is your first relationship and you're a step parent, you may not know what questions to ask or how to even start the conversation because you haven't been put in those situations just yet.
Well, what I mean by like for me, for instance, right? I have two daughters, and I have a wife, and then I have my daughter's mama, right?
Hmm.
Should a conversation happen with me and my ex-wife about, hey, I'm about to get married, you know what I mean, and this woman about to be in our child's wife. This is how it's going to go, you know what I mean? Like, what are you
Well,
comfortable with? What role are you comfortable with in my wife's playing in our daughter's role, and life and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Well,
Should,
I think the conversation definitely needs to be had. Also, I think that it has to do with the maturity of the parties involved, number one.
Mhm.
But I do feel like a conversation needs to be had because really the child's well-being is the most important.
Right.
So, you want the step parent to take an active role into the child's life, and you want to make sure that the goals and the morals and the final destination is the same. You want to make sure you're all on the same page, you're all in the same book and in the same chapter. You don't want to be contradictory to what the biological parent is saying, and then it's different to what the step parents is saying. So it's definitely a conversation that should be had between all parties involved.
And so I agree with that. And also to your point, there shouldn't be any surprises.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
because an individual can feel a way, and then they will start to make demands and have expectations based off of emotions, not logic. Like, oh wow, so who is this person around my son or my daughter? You know, I don't know them like that. You get what I mean? And then like, so yeah, to your point is, hey, how are we moving together as a unit? Just because we're not in a relationship anymore does not mean that I'm still not a part of this child's life. And even though our life is moving on without each other, we're still connected by way of this child. So now let's transition, because you did say something too that really makes sense, though. The maturity, okay, being a step parent and being a having step children, there's a maturity level that has to be a part of this conversation. So Harm, what do you think, right? What do you think individuals should consider if they're entering a relationship with a young lady or young man with a with children, how their maturity level should play a part of this dynamics?
Whose maturity level?
Should the step, you right, or the
So,
new person
right.
in a life, and also the person that you're dealing with, because sometimes individuals can be petty. You get what I mean? Just because.
I don't know if this answers the question, but I think one thing you definitely got. When I was dating this girl who had a kid, right, and I just didn't like the kid. I did not like the kid. I thought he was bad as hell.
Wait,
bad as hell, bad than the MF, man. I was like, I couldn't stand being around him. You know what I mean? I mean, she was cool. She was cool. I was like, nah, I can't stand this little kid. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, he was just super bad, and she would not, you know what I'm saying? She would not, like, we go out to eat. Next thing you know, he's running back in the kitchen. Like at a restaurant. I'm like, where is he? Why is he back there? I couldn't understand how bad he was, right? So I knew right then and there that, you know what I'm saying, I could not move forward with her because I could not stand being around her child. You know what I mean? There's not going to be I'm going to be there for you. I couldn't wait to get away from her. You know what I mean? So I think that's another thing, like maturity, like, hey, she might be cool. You might love spending time with her, but you need to ask yourself, hey, this a package deal over here.
That's true.
Is this kid compatible with you? Will you be able to be there for him, or are you going to try to kick him upside the head when nobody's looking? You got to know. You got to know these things for yourself, man.
Well, so that's a great introduction. So, Patrice, you see what I'm dealing with, right? So, and what is it, DFS, or what is it, right? So, just in case, all right, this is live. Hey, but still, I get it. Like, some kids is a mess, right? Because you're incorporating yourself into a new lifestyle, right? And based off of a person, how they've been raising a child, that is that's a thing. But specifically, though, I'm talking about the dynamics between the past relationship and the current relationship. Try to make sure, the maturity level is where it needs to be, to say, hey, let's say, my ex, I had having a conversation with her and say, hey, listen, boom, my wife, this is my wife here, right? And these are the type of things we plan on doing for our child, you and I, our child. So, there needs to be a level of maturity, a level of, hey, we're still, like you said, on the same page in the same book, versus now you're trying to change and move the goalpost just because you're not a part of the, the initial plan, right? That kind of switch.
For me, man, I think for me, in my situation, it was best when they started talking to each other, because messages through me, you know what I'm saying, you don't hear hostility. There's a lot of things that get misinterpreted when you're speaking through somebody. But when they finally put me out of the picture, you know what I mean, and started talking to each other.
Like adults.
You know what I'm saying? Like, they started talking to each other. They were more on the same page. You know what I mean? Maybe it was my stress level. I'm stressed out about it. I don't know. You know what I mean? But it was a little bit harder when they was talking through me as opposed to when they started talking through each other.
So can you relate to that, Ms. Patrice? Did y'all ever, come to that point where, your husband and the ex, they had the conversation?
Oh yeah, we've actually had a roundtable conversation. We all sat down. My son, my ex-husband, and and then the current relationship. We all sat down together, and we all made sure that we had, some things set out. Some plans, some goals. They had an opportunity to meet one another. But what I would say to what you were saying earlier is when I began dating after my son's father, I wanted to make sure that the person that I was, in a relationship or going to be in a relationship, that their vision for their life and if they had children aligned with mine, just to make the transition a little bit easier. So those are things that I looked for in a companion. I wanted to make sure that they were at least, if not all the way where I needed them to be, they at least had the potential to be where I needed them to be. I knew the situation was going to be new and different because this person didn't have children before. So not only is this new parenthood, it's like step parenthood.
Mhm.
So that's totally different than just, already having children and coming into another relationship. So this person was single, no children, no wife, no nothing, living their best life. And then now, boom, you put them in a situation where they have to be a stepfather and they have to try to maneuver within the relationship with a new partner. And it can be very difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, that can be something that I don't think a lot of people think about. They're just like, oh, this person is compatible with me. But like Herm said, are they compatible with a child?
Mhm.
Um, that's something that I don't think a lot of people really think about.
Mm.
I got a question. Like
Yeah.
for because I'm my wife, she doesn't have any children either. Like the two kids that I have is really our kids. But
Hmm.
I know a lot of people wonder when they're in a situation like that, and say me and her or you or your guy were to have a kid,
Hmm.
and you notice, oh, it's like a whole shift in how they treat the kid that y'all share together, as opposed to the kid that you had in a previous
Prior
relationship,
to.
right? You know what I mean? How like is that conversations before that? Like, hey, is that a worry for folks? You know what I mean? Like, man, if we have a kid together, I wouldn't want my other kid to feel left out or feel any less loved or anything like that.
You know, that's kind of like the elephant in the room, I would
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
say.
Hmm.
Um, because I think that feeling of this is my baby, so I'm going to give him an extra
My
chip, or
only
I want to
baby
give
too.
him,
My
Yeah.
only
you
baby too.
know,
Yeah. Only
Yeah,
biological
my
baby.
only
Yeah.
baby
Yeah.
too. Right.
Hmm.
I think as much as a person is trying not to do that, they're trying to be conscious of, okay, I'm going to treat this child as if this child were mine. I think we just automatically or innately just, kind of give that extra
Yeah.
or that extra love to our own. I don't think that it's done intentionally. I just think it's intuitive. We just do that. And I don't think that it's when it's something small like that, I think that it's okay. Maybe a little extra this, a little extra that. I think that that's okay. But when it's something that's noticeable by the child and then the other children that are involved, I think then that's when you have a situation that's getting ready to manifest into something bigger. Because once the children start to see, hey, why am I being treated differently than this person? Then that's when you start to change the dynamics of the siblings that as they grow up, that's when they start having resentment, or hey, I noticed that when we were growing up, you did this and you did that, and instead of doing that for me. So it's a very thin line and it's a very fine line, but I think that we all do that just a little bit.
Okay.
I don't have any stepchildren, but I've seen the dynamics of other families with step parents, and it is just a little bit more, just a little extra sugar on
But
top.
technically, it's still, you wouldn't be a step parent because it'd be your child. You
Technically,
know
yeah,
what I'm
but
saying?
but it's the
In
step,
my
but
in
it's
my
the other.
scenario. No, it
Yeah,
wouldn't
yeah.
be nobody's stepkid because it'll
Okay.
be their two children. Their two.
Sure.
The other kid is a stepchild. You
Right.
know what I
And
mean?
and right, but so for example, using your situation, if you and your wife had a daughter
Right,
or a son,
right,
you
right.
your wife may
I truly
gravitate a little bit more to her biological one.
And I'm
You know
for
what I'm saying?
sure she would. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And the thing is, and then there's different philosophies on how you raise a kid, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like she would have a different philosophy for how she would want a child brought up that's completely different between how my daughters are being brought up.
Correct,
You know
because
what I
there was
mean?
already navigated with another woman.
Right. You know what I mean? So I shouldn't be like, oh no, you treating them different. You treating me, you know what I'm saying? It's like, well, yeah, you know what I'm saying? She has a different philosophy on how she wants to raise kids. You know what I mean? And just because I already had two other kids, I shouldn't take away the right for her to play a significant role. You know what I'm saying? And now she wants her child to be raised just because she had them with me.
Yeah.
You
No,
get
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense, and it's legitimate. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we're talking about is the family dynamics dealing with step parents, right, and step children. And as we're getting closer to the holidays, right, people are going to be coming to the dining room table. So it may be some things we might want to talk about, right, to air out, and also too, as you are thinking about other relationships. So, what type of things that you should consider fully before just saying, hey, I want to be in a relationship with someone? What comes along with that? All right. So being a step parent, what a responsibility. All right. Think about that. What a awesome responsibility and opportunity. So, oh man, I remember when my first marriage, I was stepfather, right? Never been a father before. And so I was like, man, I need to do the best that I can in everything, but there was no examples. If well, not necessarily examples, an owner's manual. So trying to do the best that I can and walking a thin line between being a supporter, right, for her, his mother, but then also being a mentor and a father figure, right? Not his father, biological father, obviously, but a father figure, to my stepson at that time. So, how important do you think that is, Ms. Patrice, to differentiate between being a father figure, right, and stepping up as a stepfather, but without, or step parent in general, versus stepping aside?
Um, I would say first you have to evaluate what type of relationship the child has with their biological father or mother or parent. You have to evaluate that first. And I would say if you see that there's something that is lacking within that relationship, um, then you should be able to step in. You should be able to say, hey, I see, you're having difficulties with this or you're having difficulties with that. Maybe, change your perspective or maybe change your mindset or let's do something different. I think as a step parent, if the biological parent is not within the child's life, then of course you need to step up to the plate, of course. But if the biological parent is still within the picture, I think you can only kind of fill in, and it also depends on what type of relationship the child has with that parent as well. But I kind of see it as a filler, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Yeah, no, it does. It does. It makes a lot of sense. And I mean, think about it. It could be hard for an individual to wrap their mind around, hey, I need you here as a supporter, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily as a primary. You good, Herb? Oh, you
Yeah, man. I just had to get some things straight with my daughter real quick.
okay,
Yeah,
good, good.
everything's good.
Yeah. So I mean, so what we're talking about is that responsibility of stepping in when it's needed, right? Like being that. Well, I mean, what would you call it? It's not because you're not second fiddle, right? You're the individual is primary in your life, right? But may be secondary in the child's life. And so it's the biological parents' responsibility to compartmentalize, or, not necessarily compartmentalize, but put the places in, the pieces in place, and so that everybody's on the same page. How important you think that is, and how would you do that?
I think it's very important, man. I grew up with a stepfather in the house, right? You know what I mean? I had my dad, you know what I mean? My dad was in my life, at the same time as me growing up with a stepfather since I was about 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So with him, and he pretty much set the tone right from the beginning. Like he let me know what he wanted me to call him, which is, I still call him that to this day. I call him by his last name, Smith. That's what he wanted. You know what I mean? He could have easily been like, hey, call me Pop or whatever. You know what I mean? My kids call him like Pop and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But I call him Smith, which I call him to this day. He's the one that like taught me how to drive, taught me how to box, taught me a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? So he just innately knew what he needed to do. He had his own kids as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he just knew what he needed to do in order to get me to where I needed to be, So I think that instinctively, as you get to know the child
mm-hmm.
and know the situation, you should know what the child needs from you.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? Like the relationship really is responsibility to the older person to observe and like, okay, I'm not here to be all kumbaya for you neither. You know what I mean? I am going to hold you accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just because I hold you accountable doesn't mean you get to yell, well, you ain't my dad and all this other kind of craziness.
See, now that's a good transition into discipline. All right. How important, what you gonna say? Please look at that, please. So it's like, think about it, right? How important is it to have that conversation? Well, I think it is, but what are y'all thoughts about having that conversation with your significant other in discipline? Okay, because we come with a background, right? We may have different definitions of what discipline is, but the biological parent is supposed to set the tone, right? And it needs to be respected, but not to be assumed. It should be communicated. So, Patrice, how important do you think that is?
I think discipline is extremely important. And I think it's very important that you incorporate the step parent. I'm not saying that that person has to like physically touch the child, but I think that they should be a part of creating consequences for actions. And talking to them about, cause and effect, and if you do this, then this is the consequences of you doing it, or the effect of you doing that, and talk to him about behaviors and things. I think sometimes the step parent feels left out with a lot of things, just because there's more conversation that may be going on between the biological parents and not necessarily with the step parent. So sometimes I think that there may be a form of isolation that the step parent may feel, or sometimes the step parent may not want to overstep those boundaries and actually do the discipline. They may just be okay with kind of setting some rules, but not really enforcing them. So I think that is different with every relationship. But as far as disciplining your child is a part of being a parent. So I don't think that the step parent should be, should not be a part of that. I think that they should.
Yeah.
See, now, Herm, go ahead. Go ahead.
At this point of the show is what I really like to tag my boy Larry into.
Yeah, right,
right. Because I know you say like the biological parent sets the tone for it, right? But here's my thing.
And that's a question too, because do y'all agree with that?
Not me necessarily, you know what I mean? Because I'm a man that provides, right? I'm gonna provide the space, the house, you know what I mean? And if I'm providing all of that, I'm not going to be disrespected inside the house that I'm paying for. That's my house. Well, it's our house, you know what I mean? But I'm the one that's providing everything, you know what I mean? And if that's what's going to be allowed, then statuses need to change. Because just because you, hey, I'm uncomfortable, but you were disciplining my child. Well, I'm uncomfortable being disrespected. You know what I'm saying? So what we going to do here?
See?
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not going to abuse nobody's kid. You know what I mean? But at the same time, that kid's going to know who's the one running the house, because, you know, it's definitely not him or her. You
So now, here we go. Now we're getting into it. You dig? So now, let's say this individual that you're bringing into your life is a, you know, they're a man, right? They're man. Now,
I'm not bringing no man to my life.
Well, of course you're not, but I mean, but think about this.
Relax yourself, man.
Hopefully, but what I'm saying is, the biological parent, right, that has the biological child, they should have the primary say so of the well-being of that child and get the support from the step parent, correct or no? Because there's some individuals that say, okay, well, even though I'm not this child's father, biological father, and this may not be my house, but I'm the man in the house, so therefore I'm the man of the house. You get what I'm saying? I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm the man in the house, and now I'm the man of the house. How is that to be interpreted? Or is that a whole nother conversation? Say, hey, you're here, but you're not, or this is how we need to navigate. So, Patrice, let me ask you that. I mean, what say you? Like, what's that thought process?
You know, this is an extremely complex topic. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it really is.
Oh yeah.
It really is. You know, I think that when you're in a relationship like that, I think you have to do like the checks and balances all the time, because it's not just you and your partner. It's you, your partner, and, you know, the other parent, the biological parent, if they're still around. Correct. If they're no longer around, then, you know, this scenario it's a lot easier to navigate if you're not dealing with another biological parent. But as long as that parent is still there and in that child's life, it just makes it very difficult. And I think you have to see it from all perspectives. You have to see it from the biological parent, even if though they may not be physically there, if they're in the child's life, whether it be every other weekend or, you know, whatever it is, they're going to feel as if they're not a part of raising their child. If, you know, there's not any information that's being shared, or there's not an opportunity to still make important decisions in the child's life. I'm not saying that you have to go along with the other parent, the biological parent, but just incorporating them into conversations and, you know, allowing them to know those milestones that are coming up in the child's life. I think that makes things a little bit easier.
No, I get you. And essentially, the biological parent is the adhesive to this whole family dynamic, right? That's what I'm getting from that. What you saying, Herb?
Well, then also, the parent that has the child needs to understand what they're bringing their child into.
That's right.
Right? You know what I'm saying? You got to make sure you way past the honeymoon phase before you be like, yeah, we about to be in here together. You know what I mean? Like, hey, if you don't like how that person views discipline and all that type stuff, and just because they're good for you, that person is not for you, because they're not going to change that. You know what I mean? It's not going to really change, really. You know what I mean? It's not going to change just because you got married to them or anything like that. If anything, it's going to get amplified. You know what I'm saying? So if you do not believe in the way in their thought processes of how to raise children, then don't bring your child into that situation
until it's clear. No, I get you. Until it's clear. So
don't bring them to the situation, because the thing is, it's like you don't want picking that for your child and expecting this person to now change who they are. No, you brought him over here. Brought him or her over here to me. You know what I mean? And I told you who I am. You know, I show you who I am. I'm not going to put up with it. I don't care what the biological parent feel about it or anything, anybody feel about it. If it's my space, You know what I mean? I'm gonna be fair, but at the same time, nobody's going to tell me how to run anything. You know what I mean? It's going to be between me and the mom. We're going to talk about, hey, this is how I see things. You know what I mean? Are you with me? We cool? I will compromise with her. You know what I mean? Because we're a team.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So I'll compromise with her, but I wish I'm not compromising with him. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I'm not, this is how I do it inside this house. Now, I do not believe in abuse. Let me get that straight up. Now, I don't believe in like I'm not gonna be
See,
I'm not gonna be Mike Tyson up in there, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I don't believe in asking another man for permission for me to get respect inside the house that I live in.
So no, that's a good point. So hold that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, can I? Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that I'm not saying that you need to ask for respect and all of that stuff in your household and all of that. Like you should be respected in your household, all the time by every individual that's there, especially, from your perspective, you're paying the bills and doing all of that. Absolutely. I totally get that. In my scenario, my world, my reality, when I did have a situation like that, me and my partner, we talked about it, and we just weren't getting the results that we needed. So what we did is we called his father, and we had his father to come over, and that's when we all kind of sat down at the table and, had a real talk, like, hey, what's going on? Is your behavior reflective of the fact that that I've moved on, that I have, this relationship going on? Like, we had an opportunity to really sit down, and then I got to see how his father actually speaks to him, because, since him and I are no longer together, I don't know how those conversations go. I can just imagine that, he's talking and saying the right things to him, because when we were together, we had this certain vision for our child, how we wanted him to be raised. So I'm just thinking that he's still on the same page with that. But I got an opportunity to see the dynamics, to see what he actually says to him, and how, my son responded. And so we were all there to offer some type of accountability for my son.
Yeah, and that right there, I would absolutely do something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because that's his son. You know what I mean? Like that's his son. He's the one that's going to be able to, like, for me, I didn't grow up with my father in the house really, but I still connect with my father because I'm just like him. You know what I mean? My dad knows how to talk to me, to get the results out of me and all that type stuff, right? So I get that part. I get, like, having the power. What I won't get is if somebody comes to tell me what I need to do. You know what I mean? Like, try to correct me or try to fix me. Now, if me and that person develop a relationship where we're on that kind of level, then, man, I'm wholeheartedly with that. You know what I mean? Like, say, like, after a while, time goes on, I get to know that person gets to know me, and we're always thinking about the best interest for the child. And he said, hey, man, my son talked to me, this, that, and the third, and it's about the best interest of the child, then I'm for that type stuff. But, I'm not going to take no, hey, here, this is what you need to do. Oh, no, we ain't going to be doing that. You can talk to your son about what your son need to do, your daughter, what your daughter need to do. But not me.
See, that's a real issue, because can't nobody tell you nothing. But listen, hey, here's our Miss Brandy. So shout out to Brandy. How you doing, ma'am? She says, I think before you enter a situation like that, a person should observe how the child being disciplined, right, is being disciplined, so that you know if it's something you can deal with or can't deal with. Right. And so that's very true. Thank you, ma'am. And yeah, it is. That's a conversation. That is definitely a conversation. And, to see how that person, hey, listen, two people coming together are two different worlds. Let's think about it. So whatever baggage you brought into the situation with your child has part of you and part of their mother or father. So now you're bringing someone else that has nothing to do with that little world that you helped to create. And but then as they're coming into the situation, they're bringing their own thought processes, their own morals, values, right? And so those type of conversations have to be had. But when?
Continuous.
No, I mean, no, not how long or throughout, but when do you start to have that conversation or to say, hey, where are you? Right? Like there's certain, like the 21 questions, the real 21 questions. How's the relationship with your parents? How's the relationship with, like what's your background really, really like? So Patrice, what you think about that? When should those conversations happen and how in depth should you be?
Well, I think the conversation is happening when I'm dating the person. Like I'm having that conversation with myself first. Because I know if this is someone that is going to be in my life, then I'm already having those conversations. I'm already paying attention to, if this person has other children's, how is the relationship with the other children, or how is the relationship with the ex, or I'm already evaluating that and processing it before it even comes out of my mouth. So I say definitely, if you guys are really thinking about having a future together, and if you're going to be introducing the child to your partner, I think those are definitely things that you should be talking about as soon as you think that this is someone that you want to be with in the future.
Right.
What you think, huh?
For me, before I got remarried, my kids met two other women as I was in my dating processes, right? And it was important for me to see how my kids responded to them and they responded to my kids, right? The first woman that they met, you know what I'm saying, my kids did real well with that person. The second one, my kids was terrified of her. You know what I mean? She cussed her own kids out. You know what I mean? So and me, this is me needing to take my own advice. I really didn't peep how she was with her kids. You know what I mean? I'm thinking, she didn't do that to my kids, but my kids was hearing all, you know what I'm saying, her kids getting cussed out the way they were and all that stuff, and they were scared to come out of the room. I like, yeah, this ain't gonna work. I'm not gonna be able to be with this person because they don't match well with my kids. And then I met my wife, who has been nothing but great from day one with the kids. And I mean, that's important to me, you know what I'm saying, when I was looking for who I was going to spend my, you know what I'm saying, my life with, is like, okay, they gotta be able to match well with my kids. My kids gotta give me the okay. You know what I mean? And luckily I was able to find that.
Absolutely.
But after I knew, okay, after my process is, after I knew, okay, I could see a future with this person. Well, in order for me to see a future with this person, I got to bring the people that I got that come with me into the equation and see how that works.
Yeah, and how they feel with that. No, that make a lot of sense. That make a lot of sense. So as we're going into the holidays, y'all, what type of, like, how can we do better? All right, let's think about it, right? Like, how can we bring our families together, those blended families? How can we do that? Like, how can we celebrate and celebrate different cultures? Respect different cultures. You get what I mean? And still be a family, right? So, Patrice, what do you think about that? How important is it to respect other individuals' cultures and backgrounds in order to have that communal family dynamic?
I think it's of the utmost importance. I don't think that it's something that, should be brushed up under the rug, or something that should be taken lightly. I mean, your cultural views, they help to to, I guess, sculpt your entire viewpoint of everything, especially depending on what culture you come from. Some cultures are way more intense and they have way more traditions. And, I think all of that should be incorporated, especially if you have a blended family. I don't think any one culture should be superior over the other culture, especially if the children are a part of all of those cultures and it's a witness to everything, the traditions, the religion, or whatever the culture may be providing. I think that it's important to make sure that everyone is respectful of the traditions and the cultural differences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What you think, Herm?
I think that you got to keep in mind that it's okay to be different.
Mm-hmm.
It's not okay to be disrespectful. Everybody's going to come like Patrice said. Everybody's going to come with something different, right? And even if you don't agree with it, understand that where it's coming from is a person that you love, right? And nobody should be, saying things just to be hurtful. Just because it's something that I believe in doesn't mean that it's intended to be hurtful for you.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We may be able to get to a level of understanding of certain things, and certain things we might not ever understand. You know what I mean? But how does it affect our relationship?
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is some I'm gonna be honest, full disclosure, there's sometimes things that I struggle with.
What do you mean?
With folks, because some of the views I have, a lot of people don't agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And instead of, just listening and just letting it go, you know what I mean? Sometimes I take what's maybe not intended to be offensive, and offend me. You know what I mean? But I think you got to just understand the source of where it's coming from and realize, hey man, these people love you. They're not trying to offend you. You know what I mean? And a lot of times, like for me, I'm mixed. Mm-hmm. So a lot of times people don't know, hey, yeah, what you just said was like, all right, you from St. Louis, right? Patrice?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The first time I got to St. Louis and I heard, hey, you going to the Chinaman? I was like, what? So what the hell you talking about? It's a racial slur. I could, now I say the Chinaman, you know what I mean?
Right. Look at you.
I'm like, am I going to the what? I'm like, like, man, I know you just say that to me. You know what I mean? Like, like there's things that, that understand that a lot of times people just don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Give people the benefit of the doubt. You know what I mean? If it's a moment to educate, and then you also need to take your moments to get educated. Mm-hmm. Right? You're not always right.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I agree.
It's not always right. And so, just understand that, man, and just lead with love always.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know it's how you talk now after I've been there for a while, man. But that Chinaman threw me off, man. I was like, man,
it was hurting his feelings. It was like, really?
But that rice is good, so I didn't give a damn.
Right.
Yeah, it's tasty.
It's tasty. All right, y'all. So listen. So again, y'all, we're going to do this, ladies and gentlemen. This is a series, okay? And as a matter of fact, y'all let us know what you think would be a great topic for us to talk about as far as getting the family together, right? This is the series of family dynamics. So this is what I think, all right? Y'all let me know, right? Even you, Herm and Patrice, y'all let me know. I think a good conversation to have to get us, prepared for the family gatherings is the common ground of religion. Is there such thing? Uh-oh. Hey, because listen, it's religion and politics is some different things, but we can only take one bite at a time, right? Because it's a way to still have conversations with individuals and in a respectful manner without demeaning, right? Without mudslinging and everything. You can have conversations about ideals, but how do you do that in a loving way? So that's what I think, man, right? Common grounds with
if there's
with
anybody
religion.
listening out there, right? And if you are a Muslim and you're married to a Christian, please hit us up, man, because I would love to have a conversation with folks like that.
You think that'd be a good one?
That's an extreme dynamic. You know what I mean? Between two different or if you're married to an atheist and you're a Christian, you know what I mean? Things like that. You know what I mean? How when you have something that you are passionate about in your belief, this belief structure is what you live by, and then you marry an atheist. You know what I mean? Like, how's that relationship work? You know what I mean?
What you think, Miss Patrice?
I mean, it's a lot of dynamics that's going on right there, and I'm interested. I can't wait to see who responds because I have some questions.
But me too. But now, what do you think would be a good conversation to have?
You know what? I think when you're talking about religion and politics, or are you talking about that, or just in general?
Anything for family dynamics.
You know, since we are coming around the holiday season, you know, I want to talk about some of the traditions that, you know, we've had within our own circle. You know, do we still got the kids table? Is that still something that they do, you know, where only the kids sit there? Or is it like now we're blending them all together? Or like, is anybody still sitting down and eating? Like, or is it everybody on their phones just kind of doing their thing? Or, you know, like, is it still old school Thanksgiving?
Yeah. And are you truly, is it a tradition? Right?
Yeah.
Or is it right? Or are you doing things just because of the day? And what are you truly celebrating?
Sure.
You know what I mean? So there's other things to really consider with that. What you about to say, huh?
I wasn't about to say nothing, man.
What you think?
I like that idea about because I always wonder if big family reunions still go on. You know,
yeah.
I don't come from a huge family, big family dynamic like that. My wife's family is huge. At my wedding, you was at my wedding.
Yeah.
At my wedding, there's like 7 people for me, like 300 people for her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Wow. I was like, who's all these people, man?
Right.
Like, God dang, you know, like, let me get my 7 friends over. Y'all come take a picture with me.
Yeah.
Man, it was yeah. So, you know, just the big family dynamics always intrigued me, you know what I'm saying? Especially to see sometimes where they fall apart over things, you know what I mean? It's like, man, y'all got all this tradition of being together, and then y'all done fell apart over whatever reasons, you know. It's just that part kind of disheartens me.
And you know what? Sometimes with that too, and we can go on with this, y'all. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we would really, really love your feedback, especially with this one here, Black Clouds over the family. Black cloud. So I think that's what he's talking about, right? So one of those unsaid, unspoken type of things. No one want to touch it, but everybody know that it's there. And ladies and gentlemen, there are times when families are just broken apart due to a lack of communication. Some of that communication is avoided, and it's assumed that everybody think the same way, and it's not. No one wants to have that conversation to say, "Hey, this is what I was thinking about that. Did you think the same thing? Or did that really happen?" So, but no, ladies and gentlemen, we really want your feedback on that. But what you got for the final word, Big Herm? What you got?
Hey, want to thank everybody for coming out and watching, listening to us, and for the people that's going to come on and listen later. Much love, much appreciated. Please go ahead and leave the comments and let us know if you got any questions or just want to comment about the show that we just did. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks again joining us, Miss Patrice, on this Sunday. And we do appreciate it, not just being a part of the den, but also with great perspectives and all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, we do appreciate y'all for being in like we always do around this time. And we're going to do it again pretty soon. So we will be thinking about you as far as our the next family dynamic. So stay tuned. Right on. Later.